Chapter 1340. Gregory did not say a word. He just shook his wings and flew out again. When he returned, other than wood, there were also a few frozen birds. The food here is not as abundant as on land. Let's just make do with our hunger. Gregory's tone was calm. He was not overly solicitous, nor did he have the intention to curry favor with Elvis and Leah. He was just very calm. When Gregory went out to find wood, Leah had already expanded and deepened the cave. Now that there was a fire, it gradually warmed up. Gu Meng Meng peeked out from Elvis's body and looked around. This is the Moda Mountains? Gregory nodded. This is one of the secondary peaks of the Moda Mountains. It's at the border. Very few people come here usually. Gu Meng Meng nodded. That. I haven't thanked you yet. I've troubled you this time. But why did you appear in Sauter? Didn't you return to the Moda Mountains a long time ago? Gregory lowered his head to avoid Gu Meng Meng's gaze. I had something to do and just happened to pass by. Gu Meng Meng wanted to ask him what he had to do in this damn cold weather. But after thinking about it, what right did she have to ask such questions? Gregory was her benefactor who saved her. He was not her prisoner or her partner. He had no obligation to answer to her. So she nodded to show that she understood. Then, she smiled sweetly. No matter what, I have to thank you. If you hadn't appeared at the right time, I wouldn't know what to do. Gregory hesitated for 2 seconds. It's nothing. Don't mention it. Elvis and Leah exchanged glances. Their expressions were unfriendly. Both of them were by Gu Meng Meng's side. But they let her fall into such a helpless situation and did nothing. That gave Gregory a chance to show his kindness. Now that this fellow mentioned mating, the two of them did not even have the right to object. From a logical point of view, it was always a good thing to have someone in the family who could fly. Moreover, Gregory was powerful and devoted to Gu Meng Meng. He was a good choice. But the problem was, foxes and wolves were extremely selfish when it came to relationships. No matter how many benefits there were, they were unwilling to have another male in their family. There were no cooking utensils in the cave, so Leah could only roast the birds that Gregory had brought back on the fire after cleaning them. When he was digging the cave, he dug out a large green brick and used it to dig out a small basin. He filled it with snow and placed it by the fire to roast it, allowing the snow to melt into water. On one hand, it moistened the air in the cave, and on the other hand, it kept the water warm for Gu Meng Meng to drink. Although the barbecue will be hot and flammable, there's nothing better right now. Just put up with it for now. Once we return to Sauter, I will cook something delicious for you. Gu Meng Meng took the roasted bird from Leah and smelled it. It smelled really good. Grace had carried her on the flight for 3 days, and she hadn't eaten for 3 days. Her stomach was rumbling with hunger, and when she was on Grace's back, she almost fainted. Just as she was about to take a bite, she remembered that the 4 people sitting here had not eaten for 3 days. Everyone was hungry, and it didn't seem right for her to eat alone. Chapter 1341. You can eat it yourself, I'm not hungry. Gregory replied calmly. Actually, he did not tell Gu Meng Meng that food was scarce in Moda Mountains and these few birds could be her entire food supply for the entire winter. After eating these, he could only tear off his own legs to feed her. He had to keep his wings or else he would not be able to send her back tomorrow after winter ends. If she was a legless bird in the future, she could only fly in the sky non-stop. Gu Meng Meng looked at the bird leg in her hands and then at Elvis and Leah. She smiled helplessly. Perhaps it was because Elvis and Leah had taken too good care of her that she had almost forgotten that the winter season in the beast world was also known as the season of death. Before she came here, the females even survived by eating their own partners. Food, in this environment, was so precious. And how could the males bear to share the food of the females? That was equivalent to taking the lives of the females. Sighing, Gu Meng Meng said, I know you are worried about the problem of food, but I only need to stay here for a month. After a month, we can return to Sauder. There is still plenty of food stored in my stone castle and we won't starve to death. But if you don't eat, how are you going to fly the three of us back after a month? You are the most important one among us now and we cannot afford any mishaps. Leah nodded and said, that's the logic. If there isn't enough food, you can eat me first. If I can't last for a month after you eat me, then eat Elvis. As long as you can promise to take good care of Gu Mengmeng and bring her back to the land safely, it will be fine. Gu Mengmeng twisted Li's ear and said with a black face, how many times have I said this? Huh? I don't eat partners. I'm not a pervert. I was wrong, good Gu Mengmeng, don't be angry at me. Leah tilted his head and fell into Gu Mengmeng's arms, using his large furry tail to wrap around her waist. He smiled and said, I won't spout nonsense anymore, forgive me, huh? Gu Mengmeng nodded reluctantly and said, I'll let you off this time. Leah leaned his face forward and said, don't be angry at me, just one kiss. Give me a kiss and I'll believe that you've forgiven me. Gu Mengmeng chuckled and kissed Li's face. Leah said contentedly, I knew my baby Mengmeng is the best. Don't try to bewitch me. If you dare say something like that again, I'll wring your ears off. Leah nodded, as if he did not dare to disobey her. He vowed solemnly, I will not speak nonsense again. That's more like it. Leah took over the bird leg from Gu Mengmeng's hands and passed it to Gregory, smiling, I was just joking just now, you don't have to worry about the food. Although it's not convenient for us to return to Sauder now, there are people in Zacharias and Saint Nazir who have prepared food reserves for Mengmeng. It's just that you'll have to bring me back to retrieve the food. Gu Mengmeng tilted her head. Why would Zacharias and Saint Nazir have my food reserves? Did you and Elvis prepare it? Chapter 1342. Although the leader of Zacharias is Burke, don't forget that the real decision-makers are Kanwu and Qixien. Kanwu may be rash, but he treats you well from the bottom of his heart. Qixien is also someone who is used to being prepared. With the two of them together, I'm afraid they have prepared enough food for the three of us to kill our way over. Leah waved his tail and said calmly. Gu Mengmeng looked enlightened. Since that's the case, let's return to Zacharias now. I want to be with Kanwu and Qixien. Gregory's face darkened at Gu Mengmeng's words, but he quickly regained his composure and pretended that nothing had happened. He thought that he would be able to spend at least another month with her this time. But she was going to leave so soon, even though he had already tried his best not to cause trouble for her, not to let his feelings become a burden to her, and even tried his best to reduce his presence, but she still had to leave. Leah shook his head and grinned. Since we are already at Moda Mountains, how can we return empty-handed? Gu Mengmeng's lips twitched. You won't? We didn't prepare anything and you want to go up Moda Mountains to retrieve the love of the sky? Leah hugged Gu Mengmeng and kissed her. Then when you retrieved the kiss of the ocean, soul of the forest and heart of the desert, what else did you prepare other than yourself, Elvis and me? Gu Mengmeng, that made so much sense that she was speechless. Instinctively, she glanced at Gregory. After all, in this situation, not to mention retrieving the love of the sky, they had to rely on him to get out of this cave. Even if there were 4 people in this cave, 2 beast kings and 1 4th-level beast, the one who had the absolute authority in this environment was Gregory, a 3rd-level beast. Receiving Gu Mengmeng's gaze, Gregory did not speak and just stared back at her calmly. Gu Mengmeng did not know why she had suddenly entered a game where the person who blinked first would lose. But in the end, she could not win against Gregory with her glare and gave up first. She lowered her head and said, although I am not in a position to make any requests now, I really want the love of the sky. Can you help me, please? Gregory replied, all right. Gu Mengmeng looked up at Gregory in astonishment. His eyes were still as calm as ever, without a trace of emotion. What Gu Mengmeng could not see through was the agitated heart beneath that pair of calm eyes. Gregory hid it very well. He could not reveal what was on his mind, or else she would only run even faster and further away. She was most defenseless in front of him when he had just arrived at Sauder and made it clear that he hated her. The days when they didn't like each other were the days when they got along the most. Gregory thought that he might be crazy. Otherwise, why would he miss the past him who hated her so much? If he couldn't really hate her, then he should at least pretend to be good enough to let her stay for a few more days, right? You're straightforward, but I'm not in a hurry either. If you have any requests, just tell me. I will try my best to satisfy them. After all, it's hard to repay a debt of gratitude. If it drags on for too long, it'll be troublesome instead. Gu Mengmeng said heroically. Chapter 1343. Gu Mengmeng thought about it and felt that Gregory's words made sense, so she nodded in agreement without another word. She then asked, "Then when can you bring me to get the love of the sky?" Gregory slowly heaved a sigh of relief and said, "The dry season." Ah. Gu Mengmeng calculated with her fingers, "Wouldn't that be another half a year?" Gregory said, "You keep saying that you want to find the love of the sky, but you actually don't even know what it is, right?" Gu Mengmeng smiled awkwardly but still nodded honestly. Gregory chuckled and his lips curled into a doting smile. After realizing himself, he immediately retracted his smile and said with a serious expression, "Legend has it that 1,000 years ago, a bird tribe fell in love with a walking beast. During the dry season, the walking beast fell into misery due to a lack of water and kept fighting with other orcs, using their blood to quench his thirst. But during the latter half of the dry season, he could not even suck a mouthful of blood out of an orc after biting it to death. Seeing that the walking beast was about to die of thirst, the bird carried an ice cube down from the Moda Mountains to give it to the walking beast. But before the ice could reach the foot of the mountain, it would melt, and by the time it reached the side of the walking beast, not even a drop would be left. The walking beast was on his last breath due to the lack of water. The bird could not bear to see him die just like that, so he disregarded the rules of the tribe and brought the walking beast up the Moda Mountains. The ice melted into water, nourishing the walking beast's dry body but also freezing his heart. He bared his ferocious fangs at the bird and said, "Since you love me so much, you can't bear to see me starve to death on this mountain, right?" Gu Mengmeng's face twitched. Wasn't this the story of the farmer and the snake? Such a beautiful love story, why did it suddenly turn dark and twisted? Gu Mengmeng's heart was filled with malice. Gregory continued, "The bird was heartbroken and nodded with tears in his eyes, saying, 'I was infatuated with the wrong person. If you want to eat me, then eat me.'" But the walking beast did not really hurt the bird. However, the walking beast did not really hurt the bird. The reason why he said that was because someone told him that the bird had broken the rules of the tribe by bringing him up the mountain and would be punished by the gods. The only solution was to kill the walking beast personally to show his repentance. The walking beast knew that it couldn't do it to the bird, so it pretended to be merciless to provoke the bird. All of this is a test given by the bird tribe to the walking beasts. They want to see if he is sincere to the bird tribe and is worthy of the bird tribe's lifelong commitment. Gu Mengmeng felt that she had eaten a mouthful of dog blood and her facial nerves were a little out of order. Gregory took in all of Gu Mengmeng's reactions. Even the slightest change in her expression was so vivid and full of energy. She was really adorable. Not daring to reveal too much emotion, Gregory forced himself to turn his face to the other side and continued, "The land beasts have passed the test of the birds and can stay on the Moda Mountains with the birds. But Moda Mountains were filled with precipitous cliffs. Beasts without wings living here were like living in a prison. The bird couldn't bear to see him suffer like this, so it suggested going down the mountain with the walking beast. However, there are treasures on Moda Mountains that are coveted by the beast world. Once the birds leave the mountain, there is a high possibility that they will be used by others to steal the treasures on the mountain, so..." Gregory's gaze darkened. He turned back to look at Gu Mengmeng and said, "The birds need to leave behind a pair of wings when they go down the mountain." Gu Mengmeng covered her mouth in shock. Wasn't that equivalent to chopping off a person's arms? It was too cruel. Chapter 1344. Gu Mengmeng did not expect the story to unfold like this. She thought the story would end when the beasts attacked the birds. After thinking for a while, Gu Mengmeng continued asking, then, what happened after that? After that? Gregory looked back at Gu Mengmeng and gave a light smile. There was nothing after that. She broke her own wings and was no longer part of the bird tribe. As for the affairs of other tribes, we have always been indifferent to them. Gu Mengmeng nodded. Gu Mengmeng thought for a while and nodded. Not disturbing is also a form of gentleness. Gregory did not say anything. He just lowered his head and pondered over Gu Mengmeng's words. He was indeed not a gentle person. Gu Mengmeng leaned against the wall and thought for a long time. But she realized that Gregory did not answer her crucial question. So she asked again, but, since the wings are right there, why do we have to wait until the dry season to retrieve them? Gregory said calmly, the Moda Mountains are snowy all year round and the snow is extremely thick. The love of the sky is hidden under the snow and is one with the snow. Even if the vultures can travel through the snow, they will not be able to find its location. So we can only wait until the dry season is the hottest. The snow on the Moda Mountains will melt temporarily. Only then can we see the love of the sky. Moreover, it is only at that time that you can obtain it. Gu Mengmeng tilted her head and asked, what do you mean? Gregory said, the love of the sky is the source of the wind. The colder the weather, the stronger the wind. Even I will be blown away when I get close to it during the winter. And if you get close to the eye of the wind, there will be fine ice shards in the snow. Not to mention your soft and tender skin, even your wolf partner will be shaved off by the ice shards before he can even get close to the love of the sky. Even his bones will be crushed and blown away by the wind. So, you can only wait until the dry season when the snow melts. Only then can you get close to the love of the sky. As for whether you can take it away, I can't guarantee it. After all, in the past 1,000 years, no one has been to the Moda Mountains, and no one has even gotten close to the love of the sky. Gu Mengmeng's mouth twitched as she listened. Being sliced by ice sounded like an alarmist story, but Gregory had a face of abstinence and everything he said strangely gave people a sense of authority, making them have no choice but to believe it. After hesitating for a while, Gu Mengmeng thought for a while and said, since that's the case, why do we still need to stay in the Moda Mountains? Why don't we go back to Saint Nazaire or Zacharias for the winter? Should we come again during the dry season? Leah and Elvis exchanged glances before smiling. We will naturally listen to you. We will do whatever you say. But, the matter of going back and forth still depended on Gregory's wishes. After all, we don't have wings, right? Gu Mengmeng used her gaze to ask Gregory, but he did not seem to understand and just continued to stare at her, as if he was going to stare at her until the end of time if Gu Mengmeng did not speak to him. Gu Mengmeng cleared her throat and asked awkwardly, that. Gregory, can I trouble you to send me to Saint Nazaire or Zacharias? No, Grace answered neatly. Why? Gu Mengmeng blurted out. Gregory looked at Gu Mengmeng quietly for 2 seconds before asking, on what basis? Gu Mengmeng choked. Chapter 1345. Gregory sighed deeply, then stood up and walked to the entrance of the cave. With his back facing Gu Mengmeng, he said, you guys can leave by yourselves if you want to, I won't stop you. After he finished speaking, he spread his wings and flew away, disappearing into the snowstorm. The location of this cave was very special. There was a protruding rock above the entrance of the cave, causing the accumulated snow to be unable to block the entrance of the cave. Hence, Elvis and Leah dug out more space in the cave. After making a few turns, the cold wind could no longer blow directly at Gu Mengmeng. Moreover, Elvis and Leah always maintained their original forms to hug Gu Mengmeng and block the wind for her, so Gu Mengmeng did not feel particularly cold. But, no matter how much space she had to move around, Gu Mengmeng still felt like she was in a prison. Although she had also been cooped up in a cave for the entire winter in Saint Nazaire, but staying in her own house and being trapped were two different concepts. Leah leaned against the entrance of the cave and looked down. He shook his head with a bitter smile and said, at this height, if we want to dig all the way down, We will probably have to dig until the next messenger of the beast deity dies. Gu Mengmeng pouted unhappily and said, "Why is this Gregory so weird? How can he fall out with us so easily? I thought he was a good person after he saved us." Elvis caressed Gu Mengmeng's little face and kissed her furrowed brows. He said, "The males in the beast world are all good partners, but none of them are good people. The good people that you think can never survive in the beast world." Gu Mengmeng twitched her lips and thought about it. Her little face fell and she said, "Then what should we do now?" He flew away just like that. "We don't know how to fly, let alone return to Saint Nazaire. We can't even leave this place." Leah swayed his tail and said, "Don't worry, he won't let us starve to death here." Gu Mengmeng mumbled, "But I don't want to spend the winter here." Elvis pinched Gu Mengmeng's little face and said, "Don't be angry, there will always be a way." Gregory had trapped Gu Mengmeng here because he wanted to stay by her side for a while longer and find a chance to nurture their relationship. He liked Gu Mengmeng, so he would definitely not hurt her. The only ones in danger were probably Elvis and Leah, the two males. After all, their deaths would be the most advantageous situation for Gregory. The plan did not need to be too complicated. As long as Gregory did not appear for a long period of time and did not send food over, Elvis and Leah would definitely kill themselves and cook themselves into delicacies for Gu Mengmeng so that she would not starve to death. Then, after Gu Mengmeng had eaten Elvis and Leah and was starved to the extreme, Gregory would appear again and he would be able to possess Gu Mengmeng effortlessly. In the beast world, it was not news that a man would resort to unscrupulous means to mate with a female he liked. Furthermore, Elvis and Leah would not accuse Gregory of being despicable because of this. Wooing his own female depended entirely on his own abilities. If the two of them were to die here, they could only lament that they were not as skilled as others. Leah chuckled, not at all concerned about Gregory's possible choice. As long as Gu Mengmeng was safe, he did not mind much about his own life and death. Moreover, the above methods might be effective on other females but not on Gu Mengmeng. Chapter 1346. Moreover, as long as either he or Elvis was injured, Gu Mengmeng would definitely blame it on Gregory. By then, forget about mating, as long as Gregory dared to appear, Gu Mengmeng would capture him and skin him alive. Yeah, that was not a good memory. After experiencing Snake's death, Leah and Elvis swore that they would never let Gu Mengmeng face their deaths unless they had no other choice. For this weak little female, the two of them who were known for their ruthlessness had actually learned to be afraid of death. Since they could not get out, Elvis pulled Gu Mengmeng's little hand and said, "Xiao Meng, there's something, you should answer me soon." Huh? Gu Mengmeng tilted her head and looked at Elvis in confusion. Elvis took a deep breath and said, "I remember that when you first arrived at Saint Nazaire, you kept calling me old godmother. I asked you the reason and you said you had become dumb for 3 years after pregnancy, so you forgot. Now that Huda and his brothers are already 3 years old, you should be out of your stupor. Shouldn't you answer me what old godmother is?" Gu Mengmeng was stunned for a moment, then instinctively covered her mouth with both her hands and shook her head with widened eyes. Damn it, she could not say that. If Elvis knew that old godmother was the corresponding form of address for Daddy Leah, and that it was a submissive one, Elvis would probably carry her and jump down the cave. Seeing Gu Mengmeng's reaction, Elvis only chuckled. It had been 3 years, and he already had a certain understanding of her strange words. In fact, he already knew what Lao godmother meant. But she was not in a good mood because she was trapped here, so Elvis could only use this topic to divert her attention. Teasing her was an extremely interesting thing. Elvis held onto one of Gu Mengmeng's wrists and said softly, "I remember that when Sandy was giving birth, you said you were going to call Joseph and his brothers godsons when you were guarding the cave, so they should call you." Gu Mengmeng's body went limp and she hung into Elvis's arms. Her voice rose by an octave, almost as if it was a voice changer. "Hubby, a man should have his own cleavage and shouldn't be bothered by the small details. Don't you think so?" Elvis raised his brows and looked at Gu Mengmeng, smiling without a word. Gu Mengmeng swallowed her saliva, then smiled and said, "Moreover, who hasn't been young and ignorant before? Hubby, you are so magnanimous, Don't argue with a little girl like me. It's shameful to act cute. Elvis smiled indulgently, tapping Gu Mengmeng's little nose lightly. Gu Mengmeng stuck out her tongue and rubbed her face against Elvis's chest. But it's useful. Don't use it on outsiders. Elvis's words meant that he had agreed to let her off. Gu Mengmeng hurriedly nodded and said, I only do this to you and Leah. I don't need to do this to outsiders. If anyone dares to provoke me, I will just slap him to the ground and make him unable to get up. Looking at Gu Mengmeng's fierce look, Elvis felt that she was so adorable. He hugged and kissed her, saying, so imposing. Elvis and Leah did not eat the birds that Gregory sent over, because with their appetites, these few birds were not even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. But they were enough to support Gu Mengmeng for 4 to 5 days. Chapter 1347. Looking at the thing in Gregory's hands, Gu Mengmeng was dumbfounded. Isn't this the wine barrel I placed in solder? Gu Mengmeng looked up at Gregory in surprise. Gregory placed the wine barrel at the side, then opened the lid and said, I have brought back some of the prey that you stored in solder. Gu Mengmeng remembered that when they flew from Solder to Moda Mountains, Gregory brought her, Elvis and Leah and flew for 3 days without rest. So during the 6 days Gregory disappeared, he went to Solder to get food for her. Gu Mengmeng lowered her head as she thought about how she scolded Gregory for the past 2 days. She felt rather guilty. Gu Mengmeng had not eaten for a day, so the moment Gregory placed the food down, the first thing Leah did was to check the food. After confirming that there was no problem, he immediately started to prepare it. Gregory looked at Elvis and Leah and said, You two can eat together. Elvis and Leah turned back to look at Gregory with obvious questions on their faces. Gregory said, I met a crippled snow fox in Solder. He gave me all these food. Crippled snow fox, Gu Mengmeng frowned. Cole went to Solder again? Damn it, he's really haunting me. No way, Hedda, Jiaoyu and Sandy are all in Solder. I have to go back. I have to go back now. Gregory took out a comb made from the horns of a gigantic beast. That fox asked me to pass this to you. He said he will guard Solder for you. When you return this to him. As long as this thing is intact, the Solder he returns to you will be intact. In other words, if this stupid comb was damaged, Solder would suffer a similar loss. If it was lost, he would massacre the entire Solder tribe. Gu Mengmeng said, Haha, this Cole is so arrogant. Could it be that he ate stinky tofu that was left overnight? He has to have the ability to massacre the entire tribe of Solder. Leah took the comb from Gregory's hands and gently stroked it. He frowned before passing it to Elvis. Take a look. Elvis took the comb in confusion and touched it. Then, he sneered and said, Xiao Meng, the current Cole might really have such an ability. Gu Mengmeng was confused. She took the comb and touched it, but could not feel anything. She tilted her head and looked at Elvis in confusion. Leah hugged Gu Mengmeng and said, You are not sensitive to beast pressure, so you can't feel it. The remnant beast pressure here is at the level of a beast king. Gu Mengmeng was stunned. He got the spirit of the rocky cliffs? Leah remained silent for a moment before pursing his lips. It could also be the kiss of the ocean or the soul of the forest. Gu Mengmeng was stunned for 2 seconds before her eyes turned bloodshot. Gritting her teeth, she grabbed onto Gregory's arm and said, Send me to Solder, now, immediately. Leah hugged Gu Mengmeng and whispered into her ear, Mengmeng, calm down. How can I calm down? That bastard might have hurt my son. Chapter 1348. No, I can't be anxious here. I want to go back and find him now. Qi Xian was a thorn in Gu Mengmeng's heart. As long as Cole touched him, Gu Mengmeng would lose her rationality. No matter how reasonable Li's analysis was, she could not calm down. Cole was a lunatic. Who could guarantee that a lunatic would weigh the pros and cons of doing things? Gregory looked at the agitated Gu Mengmeng and said slowly, he also said. Gu Mengmeng stopped struggling and allowed Leah to hug her. She then glared at Gregory with a face full of hatred, as if she could stare at coal through him. Gregory actually felt a little creeped out by Gu Mengmeng's glare. On one hand, it was because Gu Mengmeng was the Beast King. On the other hand, try being stared at by a girl you like. If it was you, you would also feel creeped out. Pursing his lips, Gregory cleared his throat and continued, he said to let you spend the winter in Moda Mountains in peace. When the monsoon season comes next year, he will give you a big present. Rest your mother's balls. Gu Mengmeng pushed Leah away and grabbed Gregory's wrist again. Bring me back to solder. I want to go back now. Gregory did not move. He just looked at Gu Mengmeng quietly. After a long while, he shook his head. I still have the same words. If you want to go, you can go by yourself. I will not stop you. Gu Mengmeng grabbed her head and spun around on the spot. After 2 rounds, she pressed Gregory against the wall. If you don't bring me back, I will kill you. Gregory's lips curled up. He chuckled. Go ahead. Gu Mengmeng raised her hand and aimed at Gregory's heart. But no matter how angry or worried she was, Gu Mengmeng still had a bottom line. Grace had saved her life when she was in trouble. If she wanted to kill Grace, she would be biting the hand that fed her. She would be the frozen snake. Swinging her hand, Gu Mengmeng suddenly smiled. She looked at Gregory. I heard that you like me. Gregory's blood froze. He looked at Gu Mengmeng and frowned. The secret that he tried so hard to hide was exposed to the sunlight. It made his heart feel uncomfortable. Gu Mengmeng retreated step by step and chuckled, send me back, or I will jump down from here. Even if I have the strength of a beast king, there's no saving me if I fall and turn into meat paste. Gregory frowned and his gaze drifted towards Elvis and Leah. He said coldly, if you jump down, the 2 of them will be the first to die with you. Gu Mengmeng raised her head and said, no, Elvis is a beast king and Leah is a 4th level warrior. Both of them can withstand the backlash of the mating contract. Gu Mengmeng took another small step back and glared at Gregory with a face full of determination. Don't talk nonsense, I'm only asking you one question, are you sending me back? Gregory still stood there without moving. He was betting that Gu Mengmeng was lying, betting that she could not bear to really jump down. Gu Mengmeng clenched her teeth and nodded. All right, don't regret it. With that, Gu Mengmeng's entire body leaned backwards and fell straight out. In that instant, the blood of the 3 males in the cave froze. Elvis's reaction was the fastest. He immediately flew out to pull Gu Mengmeng into his arms and hugged her tightly. Along with the howling cold wind, Elvis only said one sentence. If you want to die, I will accompany you. Chapter 1349. Because she was not afraid, Gu Mengmeng could clearly see that when she and Elvis were falling down, there was a white figure following their trajectory and falling down. It was Leah, smiling with a poignant beauty and arrogance, with sadness and agony, but not a single trace of fear. Gu Mengmeng's heart tugged at her. She wanted to avoid Lee's eyes, but realized that she could not shift her gaze away from his long and narrow eyes, not even for a second. She was too rash. When Gregory said that the 2 of them would be buried with her, he was not referring to the backlash from the mating contract, but because if she died, the 2 of them would definitely not live on alone. She was really muddle-headed from anxiety. Her actions this time were indeed rash. But it seemed like it was too late to regret now. Chirp. A long chirp was heard, and before Gu Mengmeng could see clearly what had happened, she felt her body stop, and then, she did not fall down again, but moved horizontally. After circling 1 round, Leah appeared in front of her. Then, the 3 of them moved upwards. Gu Mengmeng looked up and saw sharp claws as thick as steel bars digging into Elvis and Lee's flesh, but the 2 of them did not seem to feel anything, and just stared at Gu Mengmeng. Gu Mengmeng felt guilty from being stared at, and slowly lowered her head. Everything, from start to finish, did not take more than 3 minutes. But to the 4 of them, it felt as long as a lifetime. Returning back to the cave, Gregory threw Leah and Elvis in directly before sitting at the edge of the cave. He looked at Gu Mengmeng coldly and said, "If you have the courage to jump again, I will only save one of your 2 partners. If you jump for the 3rd time, I will only save you." Gu Mengmeng ignored Gregory's warning, and just lowered her head to admit her mistake like a child who had done something wrong. She pinched Elvis's beast-skin dress lightly with 2 fingers, and said with a sobbing tone, "Hubby, I was wrong." Elvis's brows were tightly furrowed, and he looked at Gu Mengmeng, asking, "Have you calmed down now?" Gu Mengmeng nodded, and answered with a nasal voice, "Yeah." Elvis pulled Gu Mengmeng back into his arms, and asked with a hoarse voice, "How ruthless are you? That's why I had to watch you seek death in front of me again and again. It was the same last time." She smiled at him by the lake and said, "Thank you, goodbye." Then, she lay down in the lake. This time, it was the same. Just as Gu Mengmeng fell backwards, Elvis felt as if a razor had sliced through his ribs and stabbed into his heart. Even though he was hugging Gu Mengmeng like this, he could no longer feel his own heartbeat and could not control the chills that spread all over his body. "I was wrong. I was hot-headed, Anne. I'm sorry." Gu Mengmeng buried her face in Elvis's chest as tears rolled down her cheeks. She sobbed, "I was too worried." Qi Xian has had a hard life since young and has always been controlled by Cole. It wasn't easy for me to snatch him back. What if Cole really did something to Qi Xian? I can't control myself at the thought of this. I'm sorry, hubby, you're injured, let me treat your wound first. The words of reprimand were stuck in his throat, drowned out by Gu Mengmeng's tears. Elvis just shook his head, and said, "It's just a small injury. As long as you're fine, no one can take my life." Chapter 1350. Leah had originally planned to not let Gu Mengmeng off so easily this time. Otherwise, this little woman would become more and more daring and he did not know what she would do next time. But seeing her sobbing like she was about to suffocate, Lee's heart also throbbed painfully. Sighing, he walked to Gu Mengmeng's side and reached out his slender fingers to gently wipe away her tears. Gritting his teeth, he said, "You are taking advantage of the fact that we can't do anything to you, so you deliberately want to torture us like this, right?" Gu Mengmeng's shoulders trembled as she looked at Leah with pursed lips and reddened eyes. Shaking her head pitifully, she said, "I jumped down not to kill myself. I just wanted to force Gregory to send me back to solder. I never thought that you and Elvis would jump down after me." Leah was so angry that he pinched Gu Mengmeng's little nose harshly and said, "Don't you know how important you are to Elvis and me? All right, Gu Mengmeng, let me tell you, the moment I jumped down after you, I was thinking of the moment I landed on the ground. I need to be under you and die with you, just so that you won't feel so much pain before you fall to your death. Do you think that I won't jump down with you like this?" Elvis pushed Lee's hand away and frowned, saying, "She is already scared to death, don't say any more." Leah took a deep breath and turned to look at Elvis, saying, "Are you going to let her do whatever she wants just like that? Other things are fine, but she clearly promised us that she would protect herself for you and me and not let herself get hurt. She clearly knows that if she gets hurt even a little, it would be destroying our hearts. But what about her? When she jumped down from here, did she even think about our feelings? For Qi Xian, how many times has she abandoned us?" I said that's enough." Elvis's face was cold and his brows were filled with anger. Leah nodded and smiled bitterly, saying, "Your indulgence will cause her to die sooner or later. If I had known earlier, I would not have given up the position of the first partner to you for the sake of the bigger picture. I should have brought her far away and hidden her. Then there would be no Cole, no Qi Xian, and she would not jump across the lake and then the cliff." Elvis hugged Gu Mengmeng with one hand and raised his other hand to strangle Lee's neck. His wolf eyes were a deep blue, surging with a mysterious aura. He exuded a dangerous aura. "I warned you before, don't challenge the authority of the first partner." Gu Mengmeng had never seen Elvis and Leah fight when they were sober. The two of them always had the same tacit understanding and had the same goal. They had once fought each other in a drunken stupor and even acted out a conflict to deceive Cole. But based on her understanding of Elvis and Leah, she could clearly tell that the two of them were really going against each other and they were both angry, and it was obvious that she was the one who had angered them, and they couldn't bear to lose their temper on her, so they vented their anger on each other. Gu Meng Meng held on to Elvis's wrist and said, Hubby, don't be angry, it's all my fault, I shouldn't have fooled around on impulse. I won't dare to do it again, I really won't, hurry and let go, if you don't, Leah will be strangled to death by you. Elvis's gaze was fixed on Gu Meng Meng. His thin lips were pressed into a straight line and the complicated look in his eyes made Gu Meng Meng's heart ache. Chapter 1351. If you are still angry, then hit me. I have the power of a beast king, I can take more hits. As Gu Meng Meng said, she stretched out her little hand with her palm facing upwards. She shrank her neck back to hide, looking at Elvis with a fearful yet unwilling expression. Elvis took a deep breath and let go of Lee's neck. He held Gu Meng Meng's little hand tightly and said, You're a little liar. You didn't do a single thing that you promised me. Gu Meng Meng looked at Elvis. Gu Meng Meng knew she was in the wrong and did not dare to retort. She just nodded and said, Yeah, I am a liar. Elvis did not know whether to laugh or cry at her behavior. He sighed and the turbid air in his chest dissipated. Gu Meng Meng saw that Elvis's expression had improved and she turned to look at Leah. She tugged at his arm and said, Good Leah, I know you are angry with me. I was rash and jumped without thinking about the consequences. But as soon as I jumped down, I regretted it. When I saw your disappointed and sorrowful eyes looking at me, my heart ached terribly. I really won't dare to do it again. Please forgive me this time, okay? Just this once. Leah looked at Gu Meng Meng and asked, Can your words still be trusted? Little liar. We can believe it, we can believe it. Gu Meng Meng held on to Lee's arm and pleaded pitifully with her little face up, I have decided to repent and turn over a new leaf, really, I will not lie in the future. Could her promise be trusted? Leah knew in his heart that it could not be trusted at all. Once this girl was involved with someone she cared about, she would lose her rationality and act without caring about the consequences. But what else could he do even if he did not believe her? He could not let her go, could not bear to part with her and could not do anything to her. After all, how was he different from her? When he saw her jump into the cave, he also could not think about anything else and only wanted to follow her through life and death. He grabbed onto Gu Meng Meng's shoulders and pulled her into his arms tightly. Both of them knew very well how much unease that seemingly punishing force brought. Then tell me, how can I trust you? When you met Qi Xian, when did you not consider the consequences? Gu Meng Meng allowed Leah to hug her tightly. She knew that this was the only way for him to calm his fear. She did not struggle and instead hugged him back gently. Her soft body leaned against Lee's chest and she replied softly, Then don't I still have a partner who is the wisest person in the world? In the future, if we encounter something like this, I will leave it to you to make arrangements. I believe that you will have a solution, right? There's no use in bootlicking. Lee's lips curved into a helpless smile. Why couldn't the words he used to criticize Elvis be used on himself? They could not do anything to this little woman. If this continued, she would become unruly sooner or later. Forget it, let her be. As long as he and Elvis were a little stronger, strong enough to protect her, it would be good. In this beast world, which female would not act recklessly? All right. Every word was worth 1,000 taels of gold. This was a promise. After coaxing Elvis and Leah, Gu Meng Meng's heart finally calmed down. Meanwhile, the three of them had completely ignored Gregory, who was standing at the entrance of the cave and watching everything coldly. Chapter 1352. That speed had already exceeded his own limits. Clearly, he was most proficient in the air. Jumping down from this height, he had enough time to catch her during the fall. He could even watch her fall for a while longer to teach her a lesson. But he did not even give himself any time to think. He dashed out like an arrow released from a bow. He even lost his sense of propriety. His iron claws had already grabbed onto Elvis, but he still felt uneasy. He was afraid that his grip would not be firm enough and Elvis and Gu Meng Meng would fall. The wound on Elvis's back was the best proof that he had lost his sense of propriety. He did not know how much less worried he was than Elvis and Leah. He only knew that he did not dare to take a single step away from the edge of the cave because he was afraid that she would jump again. He said that if she jumped again, he would only save one partner. If she jumped a second time, he would not save any of them. But he did not dare to say that if she jumped a third time, he would not even save her. Even if it was just to threaten her, he could not say it. But she coaxed the two partners who had died with her with gentle words, but did not even look at the person who had saved her life. She jumped off the cliff to force him to send her back to Sauter. She admitted that she dared to jump because she was sure that he liked her and would definitely save her. Should he be glad that she trusted him? But other than trust, she would not give him anything else. And this trust, she was only using it to force him to send her back. Did he still not understand? Did he not understand? There was no place for him in her heart. The pride of the vulture tribe had probably been crushed by her murderous gaze at the edge of Sauter's territory. Actually, it was so easy for him to send her back. As long as she accepted him, he would naturally not force her to stay in this cave. But she would rather die than keep him by her side to accompany her. Gregory thought, perhaps he could understand why the stray beasts were so afraid of her. Because when she decided to be ruthless, she was far more heartless than the stray beasts. It was not that Gu Meng Meng did not feel Gregory's burning gaze. She did not want to make use of other people's feelings, but this matter concerned Qi Xian and she had no other choice. What he owed Gregory was, in the end, still owed. Gu Meng Meng sighed softly, then leaned into Li's arms. She lowered her head and asked softly, "Are you still in pain?" Li's injuries were more serious than Elvis's, or it could be said that due to the difference in their abilities, the healing speed was different. The bloody wound on Elvis's back had almost healed, but Li's wound was still bleeding. Leah held onto Gu Meng Meng's little hand and placed it on his chest. Then, he answered solemnly, "It hurts. It's so painful that I can't die, yet I don't want to live." Gu Meng Meng kissed Li's chest lightly and said, "I won't let you feel this pain again." "All right." Leah hugged Gu Meng Meng and sighed before continuing, "Be good and rest here for another 20 days. After 20 days, I will bring you back to Sauter, all right?" Gu Meng Meng looked up at Leah and asked, "You have a solution?" Leah chuckled. "You already said that I am the wisest person in the beast world. I can't let you down. In order for you to trust me enough and think of me to solve any problems in the future instead of fooling around, I must have a solution, right?" Gu Meng Meng lowered her head and did not say another word. Chapter 1353. Gregory looked at Gu Meng Meng worriedly but did not say a word or move. Leah chuckled and said, "Don't worry, Xiao Meng doesn't treasure her own life but regards Elvis and I as precious. For the both of us, she won't do anything foolish again." Leah said this with enough certainty that made Gregory feel at ease and extremely jealous at the same time. Gregory did not stay any longer and just transformed into a vulture. He used his claws to grab Leah out of the cave and flew into a cave on another mountain. This cave had a completely different style from the one Gu Meng Meng was in now. There was a forest of strange rocks and dilapidated cliffs, giving the illusion of being in the mouth of a devil. But Leah did not mind too much. After all, it was just a place to talk and it was fine as long as Gu Meng Meng could not hear them. "Cole must have promised you something, right?" Leah leaned against the wall casually and calmly. He smiled at Gregory and said, "You don't have to deny it. You and I are both males and we both wanted Gu Meng Meng but could not get her. If there's anyone in the beast world who can understand your current feelings, it's probably me. Because only I know how ruthless she can be when she sets her heart on something. She did not even say a word of rejection but could use her gaze and actions to torture us to the point where there's nothing left unscathed. But, even though it's as painful as a million ants drilling into our hearts, we can't help but continue to approach her while screaming in pain. Gregory's jaw tightened into a right angle. He did not say a word, neither admitting nor denying. But only he knew that what Leah said was right. Gu Mengmeng's attempt to please and comfort Elvis and Leah just now was more hurtful than 100 sharp rejections. It's precisely because I've experienced this that I understand your current state very well. Logically speaking, you should be in a situation where you're trying your best to please her. You don't even need her to make a request. You'll want to present the best in the world to her, just so that she'll look at you a little longer. But, you rejected her request and gave up the chance for her to be indebted to you. This was not an easy thing to do. After all, even Elvis and I would find it extremely difficult to say no in front of her. And you actually did it. So the only logical explanation is that you have a greater temptation of benefits. For example, someone promised you that as long as you trap Meng Meng here for the winter, she will willingly mate with you. You can even replace me or Elvis and become the most important person by Meng Meng's side. Gregory's pupils constricted, and his brows furrowed indiscernibly. Leah chuckled. Ah, looks like I guessed correctly. Did he also tell you that Elvis's mark was on Meng Meng's collarbone, while mine was on her left ear, so her heart was still empty? And he has the ability to help you leave your mark there? Gregory clenched his fist. Although the wording was different, the meaning was exactly the same. If not for the fact that foxes could never fly, Gregory would have suspected that Leah was hiding in the dark and spying on him. This fox was too terrifying. Leah waved his hands and said, "Don't be so nervous, I just know him too well." Chapter 1354. Although you have only met him once, you can't tell his intentions and greed towards Meng Meng, right? Leah chuckled as he shook his head. Taking a step back, even if you can't see through his true nature, as a male, if you were in his shoes, would you help another male to occupy the spot in the female's heart that you want? Gregory clenched his fists and instinctively avoided Lee's eyes. How could he not know what Leah was saying? He was just deceiving himself and others, holding on to a sliver of hope that, what if? Leah waved his tail and mercilessly exposed the fluke in Gregory's heart. As someone who has been through it, I can tell you clearly that my Meng Meng is amenable to coaxing but not coercion. No schemes are as effective as treating her well wholeheartedly. As for what that crippled fox promised you, I can guarantee, he can't do it and no one else in this world can do it. Leah lifted his head and smiled calmly. They were clearly of similar height and Gregory was slightly more muscular. But at that moment, he felt that Leah was high and mighty, like a deity in the clouds looking down at the lovesick men and resentful women in the mortal world. He gave off a sense of detachment and Gregory could not help but believe his words. Leah said, "Cast aside your unrealistic fantasies and think about it seriously. If Elvis and I don't allow it, who can get close to Meng Meng?" Gregory remained silent but he knew very well that Lee's words were right. Based on Lee's and Elvis's abilities, no one could get close to Gu Meng Meng if they did not allow it. Leah took 2 steps to stand behind Gregory and placed one hand on his shoulder. He whispered into his ear from the other side, "You have already sensed it, right? Back then, you were able to hang around Meng Meng because I opened the door for you. But if you bring any dirty things near Meng Meng when you enter through this door, I can only close the door. This is the Modem Mountains." Gregory straightened his spine and said. What he meant was that without him, they would not even be able to leave that cave. Even Leah could not return to Gu Mengmeng's side. Leah chuckled and nodded. "That's right, this is the Moda Mountains. In other words, you are not the only one who can fly here. There was probably no lack of winged beasts here. Tell me, how difficult can it be for me to find someone who is willing to serve the messenger of the beast deity?" Grace frowned and lowered her head. That's right, among the tens of thousands of birds, how many could resist Elvis's threats, Lee's temptations, and Gu Mengmeng's beauty? The Eagle Owl tribe was once one of the guards of the Moda Mountains. Now, the entire tribe followed Gu Mengmeng's lead and were completely loyal. But she did not even have a single Eagle Owl tribe partner by her side. She could easily subdue the Eagle Owl clan and the other birds on Moda Mountains. Even his heart that was once as firm as a rock could not stop palpitating because of her. It would be even more difficult for others to resist her charm. As long as she beckoned with her finger, not to mention sending her back to Sodor, even if she had to use pairs of wings to form a bridge for her to walk back to Sodor, these birds would not hesitate to break off their own wings to fulfill her wish. Chapter 1355. What do you want me to do? Gregory asked concisely. Leah gently brushed away the non-existent dust on Gregory's shoulder, then rubbed his fingers and smiled. It's nothing special. You just have to make sure that Meng Meng doesn't suffer in that cave for the next 20 days and send the three of us back to Sodor safely after 20 days. As long as you can do that, I guarantee that you can continue staying by Meng Meng's side. Of course, whether she likes you or not, whether she is willing to accept you, will depend on your own abilities and luck. All right. Gregory had no other choice, right? Leah nodded his head in satisfaction and said, since we've spoken, let's go back. I haven't seen my Meng Meng for a while and I miss her very much. Gregory ignored Lee's pretentious boasting and just grabbed onto his ankle as if he was taking revenge, hanging him upside down and bringing him back to Gu Mengmeng's cave. Seeing that Leah had returned, Gu Mengmeng hurriedly went up to him and turned his body around to check the wound on his back. Seeing that the wound had not reopened, she heaved a sigh of relief and said, "What were you whispering about, carrying me?" Leah placed an arm on Gu Mengmeng's shoulder and smiled devilishly, saying, "Didn't he say that he will only save your partner if you jump off the cliff again? Let me discuss with him and ask him to only save Elvis next time. It will only be clean if I fall to my death, so that he doesn't have to worry about you every day." Leah, Gu Mengmeng called out Lee's name as if she was begging for mercy, causing Lee's heart to flutter. He pinched her little face but could not do anything to her. He could only kiss her and say, "I don't have a good temper like Elvis. I won't let this matter go so easily, you must be mentally prepared. Wait till you get the love of the sky. I will settle the score with you, do you understand? Settle the score after getting the love of the sky?" Gu Mengmeng thought about it. She was preparing to give birth to little foxes after getting the love of the sky, so Leah was planning to settle the score with her when they were making babies. Was that what he meant? Gu Mengmeng blushed and lightly hammered Lee's chest. "You're not serious at all." Leah allowed Gu Mengmeng's weightless fists to land lightly on his chest, allowing her to hit him coquettishly. Seeing how she was behaving coquettishly in his arms, Lee's gaze was filled with joy. Fortunately, she was fine. Fortunately. As long as she could continue to be so presumptuous in his arms, he could let go of everything. He held Gu Mengmeng's little fist gently, then lowered his head to kiss her left ear. "Gregory saved the three of us once again. We already owe him 6 times for saving our lives. This debt, how do you intend to repay him?" Gu Mengmeng's expression changed. Gu Mengmeng pursed her lips and peeked her furry little head out from Lee's arms. She looked at Gregory, who was standing at the entrance with a face full of ice, and felt a little guilty. How should she put it? At that time, blood rushed to her head, and she jumped down without a care. But now that he looked back at Gregory, he didn't have much confidence. After all, Grace was not her partner, and he had no obligation to accommodate her nonsense. Chapter 1356. Gregory pursed his lips and did not say a word. Gu Mengmeng also felt that only sticking out half her head looked insincere, so she took 2 steps out from Lee's arms and walked towards Gregory. But she had only taken the 3rd step when Gregory's expression changed. He frowned and said coldly, "Stand there, don't move." Gu Mengmeng was shocked by Gregory's roar. She remained motionless as if she had stepped on a landmine, looking at Gregory in confusion. Gregory realized that he had overreacted. Gu Mengmeng obviously did not want to jump off the cliff again. Feeling slightly awkward, he turned his face to the side but could not say a word. Leah stood behind Gu Mengmeng and exchanged a look with Elvis, laughing at how this Gregory was obviously a hot-tempered brat who had just awakened his first love. Wanting to win Gu Mengmeng's heart with his skills, it was a long road ahead. Leah pulled Gu Mengmeng back into his arms and pecked her little face, saying, rather than saying sorry 100 times, why not do something that's not wrong? Moreover, it's too childish to write off a life-saving debt with just 2 words of thank you. Gu Mengmeng thought about it and agreed. She turned to look at Leah and asked, what about you? Leah tapped his chin and said, he saved our family of 3 twice, that's equivalent to 6 lives. We will return him 6 lives, that's only fair. Gu Mengmeng tilted her head and looked at Leah. She thought for a moment, then nodded seriously and said, how about this? I owe you 6 lives. If you have anyone you want to kill, tell me and I will help you kill all 6 as repayment. How about that? Leah and Gregory were both taken aback. Leah face-bombed while trying to hide his smile. Gregory's face froze and he said, I am a male but I want to rely on a female to kill for me? You. Gu Mengmeng covered her mouth and thought to herself, I forgot, this beast world has severe gender discrimination. In some matters, humans are even more straight men than straight men. Gu Mengmeng used her elbow to poke Leah and said, it's all your rotten idea. Leah smiled bitterly and helplessly and said, I said I will return him 6 lives, but who said I will kill for him? Then. Gu Mengmeng was confused. Leah tapped Gu Mengmeng's little nose and said, doesn't Sauter still have a gift for the birds on the Moda Mountains? Gift. Miranda? Gu Mengmeng's eyes lit up and Leah knew that she had thought of something. He continued, besides Miranda, we can go to other tribes to exchange for 5 females and send them to the Moda Mountains. In this way, wouldn't it be equivalent to 6 lives of Gregory's leader? Gu Mengmeng nodded. Yeah, this is a good idea. Not only did I return the favor, I also solved the problem of reproduction in Moda Mountains. Leah glanced at Gregory and said slowly, it's just that it's not easy to exchange females. After all, unless a female committed a grave mistake, no tribe would sell her off easily. So, we'll have to trouble leader Gregory to stay in Sauter for a while. After we've found all 6 females and returned your favor, you can return to Moda Mountains. Leader Gregory, what do you think? How could Gregory not understand? This was what Leah said, a way for him to stay by Gu Mengmeng's side legitimately. Nodding, Gregory said, all right. Chapter 1357. It was easy to borrow a favor but hard to repay it. Now that Leah had come up with this idea, it was the best of both worlds. Gu Mengmeng felt that the burden on her heart had lessened by a lot. Leah chuckled as he looked at Gu Mengmeng's relieved look. This girl really wanted to make things clear with Gregory and was not willing to accept his attentiveness for free. This meant that Gu Mengmeng really did not have any feelings for Gregory, so she did not even give him a chance to show off. As such, he felt more at ease leaving Gregory by Gu Mengmeng's side. Come to think of it, he was just another Burke. Every day, Gu Mengmeng would use a small stone to draw a line on the wall. In the blink of an eye, 20 days had passed. It was the coldest time of the winter but Gu Mengmeng insisted on returning to Sauter. Elvis and Leah knew that Gu Mengmeng couldn't stop worrying about Qi. She had already endured so much for the past 20 days, so they didn't want to force her. They would accompany her through the wind and snow. As long as she could be at ease and happy, that was enough. It was not difficult for Gregory to travel through the wind and snow. He did not want to bring her back because he wanted to spend more time with her and also because of Cole's empty promise. Now that he had formed an alliance with Leah and Leah had given him a reason to stay by Gu Mengmeng's side, he naturally had no need to force Gu Mengmeng to stay in Moda Mountains. After all, if she really jumped off the cliff again, he would probably go crazy before anything happened to her. Originally, Gregory wanted to carry Gu Mengmeng on his back and bring Elvis and Leah back with his claws, but Gu Mengmeng was unwilling. She said that it was a special situation when they came and they had to act according to the urgency of the situation. Although it was also a rush to go back now, it was not as panicky as when they came. There was no reason for Gregory to carry her on his back again. Actually, everyone knew very well that Gu Mengmeng had made use of the fact that Gregory liked her and forced him into a corner, so she had a knot in her heart. Now that she had exposed the truth, they had to be extra careful when interacting with each other. Gregory knew that she was stubborn and it was useless to force her, so he could only listen to her. The final outcome was that Li's body was relatively smaller and he curled up in the wooden pail to hug Gu Mengmeng. Gregory grabbed onto the edge of the wooden pail to bring the two of them along, while Elvis hugged onto Gregory's claws himself. Hence, 3 days later, a strange scene appeared in the sky above Sauter. A spiritual eagle was flying in the sky with a wolf on its leg and a wooden bucket in its claws. Something was moving in the snow, but Gu Mengmeng could not see it clearly as it was too far away. But when she landed on the ground, Gu Mengmeng only saw one person standing in front of the stone castle with his hands behind his back. The door of the stone castle was pushed open and there was a fire burning in the house, but it could not warm up this silver-white world. The person standing at the door was none other than Cole. His silver hair fluttered in the wind and his lips curled into a smile. He did not seem to care about the snowstorm and coldness at all. His eyes were filled with love as he said, "Ah Gu, welcome back." Gu Mengmeng squinted at Cole and sneered, "You're not afraid of me?" Chapter 1358. Gu Mengmeng was indeed extremely cold, so she didn't argue and directly entered the stone castle. Elvis and Leah followed closely behind. Gregory hesitated for a moment but still followed. After all, if anything happened in the snowstorm, it would be more advantageous for Gu Mengmeng if he was around. Cole completely didn't care about their attitudes and just acted like he was the owner. "The water for the bath is ready." "Ah Gu, do you want to take a bath first or eat something first?" Gu Mengmeng sat by the fire to warm her hands. She looked up at Cole. "Congratulations on becoming a beast king." Cole smiled with his eyes squinted. He reached out his hands and said, "Yes, this is something worth congratulating." "Ah Gu, look, after becoming a beast king, this broken hand actually grew back. This way, no one will dare to laugh at you for having a handicapped male." Gu Mengmeng's gaze landed on that pair of hands. Her expression was cold. "That's such a pity. I used to feel relieved every time I saw your disgusting broken hand." Cole smiled. "Silly Ah Gu, if you want to vent your anger, no matter how many times you break it, I will let you break it. Here, take it." Gu Mengmeng looked at the hand that Cole was offering to her. She took a step back and leaned into Elvis's arms. She looked at Cole coldly and said, "I braved the wind and snow to rush back, not to talk nonsense with you. Tell me, what did you do to Qixuan?" Cole shook his head regretfully and said, Ah Gu, you are too impatient. Aren't you clearly telling me that you are worried about Qixuan and that if I want to threaten you, I will use Qixuan?" Gu Mengmeng's face darkened. A trace of beast pressure leaked out. But Cole gestured for her to keep quiet. "Your beast pressure can't kill me now, but the two of them don't look very strong. I wonder if they can withstand the beast pressure of 3 beast kings?" Gu Mengmeng frowned. She calmed herself down and glanced at Leah. She didn't say anything else. She promised Leah that she would let him handle any problems. She would not act recklessly again. Only then did Leah give a gratified smile. He gently stroked Gu Mengmeng's silky hair and said, "Mengmeng, you really did not bathe properly these few days in Moda Mountains. Since the water is ready, you can go upstairs and take a comfortable bath. I'll take care of things here, be good." Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, "Let Elvis stay behind to accompany you." Leah shook his head and hugged Gu Mengmeng's waist. He planted a kiss on her forehead and said, "You are my Achilles heel. I can only be at ease when the strongest armor is protecting you." Gu Mengmeng's eyes widened. "But..." Gu Mengmeng glanced at Cole. She felt that she had to guard against him. Leah chuckled. Even if Elvis is here, he can't stop the beast pressure, right? That's right, Cole was now a beast king. If he wanted to kill Leah, he just needed to release his beast pressure. Even Elvis wouldn't be able to withstand his beast pressure. Nodding, Gu Mengmeng kissed Lee's chin and said, "Then I will go up, be careful." "Go." Leah returned a kiss on the top of Gu Mengmeng's head. Then, he watched as she reluctantly followed Elvis up the stairs. Then, the smile on Lee's face turned into a deceitful one. "King of the Snow Fox clan, now even I can't go against your orders, right?" Lee's smile turned into a mask. "King of the Snow Fox clan, now even I cannot go against your orders, right?" Aside, I know everyone is disgusted with Cole, but this time he came out, yeah, he couldn't do anything bad. Instead, he was prepared to be tortured. So. Chapter 1359. Cole did not deny it and looked at Gu Mengmeng's back view greedily. He curled his lips and said, "My first order as the Fox King is for you to kill Elvis. Can you do it?" Leah nodded his head in all seriousness. Then, he suddenly laughed and said, "You want Elvis and me to kill each other and then force Gu Mengmeng to break down in pain. When she is mentally weak, you will take advantage of her weakness and use the bewitching spell to control her mind and make her your puppet?" Cole seemed to think that this idea was not bad. He nodded and said, "Yeah, Ninth Brother's idea is to my liking." But Leah waved his hands and said, "It's so easy to kill Elvis and me. As long as Gu says the word, Elvis and I will definitely sacrifice our lives to kill you for her. With just you still dare to spout nonsense in front of me?" Cole narrowed his eyes and said threateningly. But Leah looked nonchalant and said, "Your skills have always been above mine. You don't have to wait until you become the Beast King to kill me. You could have dug out my heart with one claw back then. Aren't you keeping me to enjoy the fun of trampling on me? After so many years of nurturing, you finally revealed your sharp claws and fangs. Are you willing to let me die so easily?" Cole suddenly laughed. He pointed his finger and said with a trembling finger, "In this world, only Ninth Brother understands me the best. You will climb back up from where you fell. I am not surprised that you returned to Sauter. But, now that the Wolf clan has migrated here, if you want to take back this territory, you will definitely have to fight the Fox clan and Wolf clan. Not to mention the difference in fighting skills between the Fox clan and the Wolf clan, they not only have Elvis the Wolf King but also Gu Mengmeng the Snake King. Your chances of winning are not high. Smart aleck." Cole snorted in disdain and said, "Sauter is a gift from me to Gu. How can I snatch back something that I have already given away?" "Gift?" Leah narrowed his eyes. Cole said, "Why do you think those old things in the Elders' Council would listen to Gu obediently and not dare to create any trouble? Do they really think that your highness has such high prestige that you can suppress those old fellows?" Leah understood and chuckled. "No wonder Oakley's plot was completely crushed by you. So that's why. I see. No, that's not all." Cole walked in front of Leah and placed his newly grown hand on Lee's shoulder. "Do you think the people from the 16 tribes are fools? Would you be willing to listen to that lynx Oakley and go against me? Let me tell you, it's not like that. I was the one who bullied them while Oakley was mobilizing them, allowing the stray beasts to snatch their females or harm their children, killing their brothers and parents, forcing them to collude with Oakley. In order to give the 16 tribes to Gu, I spent so much effort to force everyone to kill me." Cole placed both hands on Lee's shoulders and pondered seriously. "Tell me, what were you and Elvis doing when I was planning for Gu?" Coaxing Gu to play around. In the story passed down by the messenger, the two of you should be called a demon concubine bringing disaster to the country. I am Gu's pillar of support, helping her to expand her territory. Chapter 1360. Cole did not seem to be annoyed and just nodded in agreement. That's right, pet beasts should behave like pet beasts. With your seductive figure, you should serve Gu well and make her happy every day. Because once she gets sick of you one day, I will not hesitate to torture and slaughter you, so you should work hard to win Gu's favor. That is the right thing to do. Leah laughed coldly and looked at Cole with disdain. What status are you using to say such things to me? Don't tell me you are treating yourself as Meng Meng's first partner. Let me remind you, my Meng Meng hates dirty things the most. Cole said, whatever you say. Anyway, Gu likes you now, so I will not kill you. I don't mind if you want to make a fuss. I have heard many worse things. Your level is not enough to provoke me. Leah swayed his tail and sat by the bonfire to warm his hands. If he wanted to hug Meng Meng after she finished her bath, his hands could not be cold. He looked at Cole from the corner of his eyes. Flesh regrown from white bones, a broken hand can grow back. You must have taken the soul of the forest from Qishuan's body? That's right. Cole admitted without reservation. Leah shook his head in exasperation. You know that Meng Meng hates it the most when you touch Qixuan, but you still want to step on her most untouchable spot. Good luck to you. I'm afraid that you won't be able to wait until the day Meng Meng hates me. You'll be killed by her first. As they spoke, the sound of a door being pushed open came from upstairs. Leah thought it was Gu Meng Meng coming out after her bath, but he frowned when he looked up. It was not Gu Meng Meng, but Miranda, who had walked out from the room on the far left of the corridor on the second floor. Miranda kept walking along the edge of the wall. It was a sign of extreme unease. Her eyes kept trembling, as if she was losing focus. She did not know if it was because of her psychological fear or physical weakness, but her entire body was swaying, as if she would collapse at any moment if she did not support herself against the wall. She walked towards Leah blindly. Yeah, you're back. I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting. Leah frowned and did not look at Miranda. Instead, he looked at Cole and said, unless the bait is Meng Meng, beauty traps will not work on me. Besides, Meng Meng has already seen through this trick. Are you still not going to give up? Cole shook his head and clicked his tongue. My ninth brother, you have wronged me. This is not a trap. This is my gift to you. Leah looked at Cole with a faint smile and did not say a word. Cole continued to explain, don't you want to quickly advance to the 5th level and activate the Beast King bloodline? Are you willing to be suppressed by that wolf for the rest of your life? Leah sneered. Don't tell me that Miranda is a wholly nourishing object and that eating her will help me level up. Cole frowned and said with a wretched expression, ninth brother, you really don't know how to be tender towards women. Eating her will not allow you to level up, but sleeping with her will allow you to level up. Leah took a step back in disgust. Even the smile on his face could not hide his disdain. He said, then I have really let down the Fox King's good intentions. Other than Meng Meng. I can't get hard on other females. Chapter 1361. Because mating with her once is equivalent to fighting to the death with an orc of the same level. As Cole spoke, he walked to Miranda's side and grabbed her hair, pulling her into his arms. He stuck out his tongue and licked along Miranda's neck, stopping at her chin. He did not touch her lips and only said, moreover, the children she gives birth to, that is the most delicious nourishment in the beast world. Have you forgotten? Your father was only a 3rd-level beast when he first got her. After imprisoning her for a period of time, he rose to 4th level, then after a rainy season, he rose to 5th level, a rainy season, over 60 days, and the gestation period of the Snow Fox tribe is exactly 52 days. Don't you think it's a coincidence? Lee's face was pale and his gaze was filled with indescribable depression. He had thought that his father's obsession with Miranda was because he was tricked by Cole's bewitching spell during the mass estrus period. But he did not expect that it was actually like this. Leah narrowed his eyes and said, so, father did not die of anger because I appeared on her bed, right? Cole laughed out loud and said, of course not. A 5th-level beast will die of anger? Why don't you say that he died of laughter because of you? So how exactly did he die? Leah pressed on. Cole pinched Miranda's chin and said, "Come, tell your lover how his beast father died." Miranda pursed her lips and did not speak. Her eyes were filled with fear and unease. She shook her head at Leah with a pleading look, as if begging him not to ask and not to listen. "Speak." Following Cole's low growl, Miranda was pushed to the ground harshly. Like a butterfly with broken wings, she fell to the ground beside Leah in a pathetic manner. Tears streamed down her face and her entire body was trembling. Leah glanced sideways and finally looked Miranda in the eye. He said, "Tell me honestly what you know, or else." Leah only glanced at her coldly and Miranda's body completely shrunk, as if her soul had been sucked out. After all, no matter how Cole treated her, he could only torture her body. But Leah was someone she had liked since she was young. Even though Leah had never given her a good look, she had been looking forward to it for so many years. Countless torturous days and nights were spent thinking about Lee's face before she clenched her teeth and endured it. Some people could suffocate you just by mentioning his name. Just one look from him could make you tremble in fear. Miranda slowly closed her eyes, turned her face to the side, and replied in a trembling voice, "It was me, when we were mating. I gouged out his heart." "And then?" Cole asked with a sly smile. Chapter 1362. The more Miranda spoke, the more agitated she became. In the end, she completely lost control. It was as if blood was flowing out of her eyes instead of tears. She grabbed onto Leah tightly, her sharp nails digging into Lee's arms. She widened her eyes and roared with a hideous expression, "He snatched everything from me, and all I wanted was you. He didn't give it to me, not give it to me, then, I can only kill him, kill. Kill, kill, kill." Cole sat opposite Leah and warmed his hands. He said nonchalantly, "Miranda, didn't I tell you how a female should be liked by others?" The moment Miranda heard Cole's voice, her entire body froze. Then, her facial expression started to change in a strange, uncoordinated, stiff and distorted manner. After a full 3 to 5 minutes, Miranda finally managed to control her expression. She was once again a timid and pitiful little white flower. Her voice had also become soft, as though she would be scared to tears if you coughed once. I just want to be with you. Everything I've done is to be with you." "Really?" Leah stood up from beside Miranda. He did not say anything and just walked straight upstairs. Gu Mengmeng's room was furthest to the right of the second floor. In the same building, no matter how good the soundproofing was, there was still a limit. Even if the two Beast Kings did not intend to eavesdrop, it was hard for them not to hear Miranda shouting so loudly. Leah pushed the door open and looked at Gu Mengmeng. Then, he walked past her and directly stepped into the bathtub. Gu Mengmeng had been bathing for a long time and the water was already completely cold. Gu Mengmeng ran over worriedly and leaned against the side of the bathtub. She looked at Leah with her watery eyes, which were so clear that she could see the bottom. Her heart ached for him. "Leah, the water is already cold. Stop soaking in it, you will catch a cold." Lee's entire body was soaked in the water. He ignored Gu Mengmeng, as if he wanted to drown himself. Gu Mengmeng was worried and wanted to reach out to pull Leah out. But before her fingertips could touch the water, Leah sat up abruptly. He reached out to grab Gu Mengmeng's wrist but stopped a finger's distance away. After hesitating for a long time, he slowly put his hand down and lowered his head. "The water is cold, don't touch it." "But my man is in cold water." Gu Mengmeng grabbed onto Lee's dangling wrist and pulled it back. Then, she pressed it against her face and said, "A drenched fox is not allowed to get on the bed. Turn around and squeeze the water out, then come out and hug me, all right?" Leah wanted to retract his hand, but he was greedy for the softness and warmth of his fingertips. His eyes were filled with a complicated conflict and struggle. Turning his face away, he said dejectedly, "I finally convinced myself that I can stay by your side even if I'm dirty. but I didn't know that my own race was far worse than I imagined. So disgusting, why am I a snow fox? I'm so disgusted. She wanted to hug Leah but was stopped by Elvis. Elvis circled one arm around Gu Mengmeng's waist, while the other reached into the bathtub to pull Leah out and throw him to the side. Change your body and get rid of the water. Xiao Meng just finished showering, don't get her wet again. Leah rolled around on the ground in a disheveled manner. Then, seeing how Gu Mengmeng was about to pounce on him without a care, he instinctively followed Elvis's instructions. Chapter 1363. You're my husband, I'm not disgusting. Gu Mengmeng pounced into Li's arms. Leah transformed back into his human form and hugged Gu Mengmeng, looking at her uneasily with his slanted eyes. Will you abandon me? I won't. Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah and promised solemnly, I know I often go back on my words, so you and Elvis call me a little liar, but I will never lie to you guys about this. I, Gu Mengmeng, only have a deceased husband, no ex-husband. Gu Mengmeng. Leah hesitated for a moment, but still hugged Gu Mengmeng tightly. I know I'm selfish, I clearly have such dirty blood flowing in my body, but I still refuse to let you off. I can do anything, really. Beast pets, guardian beasts, even food. I only beg for one thing, don't abandon me. I'm not afraid of pain, I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid of not having you. You won't be without me, I will always be by your side. Gu Mengmeng pressed her face against Li's chest and said softly, humans can't choose their own birth. We can't decide who our parents are, what kind of weird relatives we have, this is our original sin, but you can't be blamed. After all, you don't have the right to reject. But, those evildoers are not you, you didn't imprison Miranda, you didn't force her to mate, you didn't even eat her children like a lunatic. You're not the one who did those things, why do you have to blame yourself? Leah shook his head, I'm not blaming myself, I'm feeling inferior, you're like the sun, your whole body is glowing, while I'm getting more and more unbearable. Leah, do you still remember me telling you that you're my first love? Gu Mengmeng's words were like a warm breeze, intoxicating him. Leah nodded, I remember, you said that first love is the most unforgettable and beautiful feeling. We're each other's first love. Li's words were unintentional, but Elvis, who was sitting quietly at the side, heard it. His heart sank, the word first love was like a heavy boulder smashing down on him. The last time he accompanied Gu Mengmeng to meet the beast deity, he met Snake from another world. He seemed to have become Xiao Meng's first love in that world. This world had Leah, that world had Snake, but only he, her first partner, would never become her first love. Gu Mengmeng's attention was all on Leah, so she did not care about Elvis's feelings. She just laid in Li's arms gently and said, in our world, there's a saying, perhaps every man has had 2 women like this before, at least 2. If you marry a red rose, over time, the red will become a smear of mosquito blood on the wall, while the white will still be the bright moonlight in front of the bed. If you marry a white rose, the white will be a grain of rice stuck on your clothes, while the red will be a cinnabar mole on your heart. Chapter 1364. Leah knew that Gu Mengmeng was comforting him. He loved her so much and spent all his thoughts on her. How could he not understand the heartache in her eyes? With her heartache, Leah felt that he would be punished by the heavens if he did not pull himself together. Probing carefully, Leah confirmed for the last time. You really don't despise my tribe for being so dirty and my beast father for being so deranged? Gu Mengmeng poked Li's chest with a smile. The deranged one is your beast father, not you. Why should I make you jealous? Moreover, who said that the snow fox tribe is dirty? In my eyes, you are the cleanest and prettiest vixen. Leah finally heaved a sigh of relief. He hugged Gu Mengmeng's waist and asked, how pretty? Gu Mengmeng's mood improved when she saw Leah smiling. She tapped her chin and deliberated for a while before saying, a smile that can topple a city, another smile that can topple a country, a beauty that is unparalleled in this world. Just one look at you makes me yearn for you. I can't forget you and I think of you crazily. Leah kissed Gu Mengmeng's little face. I can't forget you and I think of you crazily. Looks like you are really pretty. Of course, don't you know whose husband he is? Gu Mengmeng held Lee's handsome face and kissed him. My Leah, you still look better when you smile. That gloomy look doesn't suit you. I feel so aggrieved looking at you. If you like it, I will smile for you every day in the future. Leah replied. Gu Mengmeng nodded. Then, she stood up. All right, since everything is settled internally, shouldn't we go and settle the external debts? Leah also stood up. He held Gu Mengmeng's little hand. As long as you don't despise me, then everything that Cole has painstakingly arranged will be useless in front of me. Gu Mengmeng nodded. Then, she reached her other hand out to Elvis. My cinnabar mole in my heart, accompany me to bully others. Cinnabar mole in her heart, Elvis chuckled. Gu Mengmeng had dispelled all the depression he felt because of the word first love. Holding Gu Mengmeng's little hand, he said, let me do the rough work like fighting, don't rush forward, understand? Gu Mengmeng nodded and smiled. I know, Leah will crush him with his brain and Elvis will crush him with his physical strength. I'll just sit here and watch the show. Be good. Elvis and Leah exchanged glances and had a tacit understanding of the situation they were going to face when they went downstairs. Although they did not believe that Gu Mengmeng would sit there and watch the show, but, with the two of them around, she wouldn't be at a disadvantage. When he went downstairs, Miranda was hugging her knees as she curled up in a corner. She looked aggrieved as she glanced at Leah from the corner of her eyes. Leah turned a blind eye to Miranda and only guarded Gu Mengmeng carefully. He then took out a stone stool and covered it with beast skin for Gu Mengmeng to sit on. He bent one knee and half-squatted to accommodate Gu Mengmeng's height. The melons are gone now, but I remember that you love to eat shueling fruit. After I chase away the annoying flies, hubby will help you find some, alright? Gu Mengmeng had eaten the shueling fruit before when she was pregnant. Chapter 1365. No need, I don't really like it. Gu Mengmeng shook her head in rejection. Gregory, who had remained silent all this while, said, I know where to find it, I will help you find it. Before Gu Mengmeng could say, no need, Gregory had already spread his wings and flew away. Gu Mengmeng thought it was a good idea. If they were to fight later and the three beast kings were fighting with their lives, Gregory, a third-level beast, would probably explode from the pressure. Anyway, he was used to traveling in the wind and snow and the outside might be safer for him than the stone castle. Hence, she gave up on the idea of chasing after him and just muttered, thank you. Leah chuckled and said, he has flown far away and probably can't hear your thanks. But it doesn't matter, when he returns with the fruits, Elvis and I will use other things to exchange with him. We will not let him suffer for nothing. Gu Mengmeng nodded, feeling that this was better. Otherwise, she would not feel at ease eating the shueling fruits. So Gu likes to eat shueling fruits. Cole looked like he understood and smiled, saying, all right, I will order someone to help you search the entire beast world and pluck all the shueling fruits for you, all right? Gu Mengmeng looked up at Cole, then let out a blood-curdling howl, giving Elvis and Leah a fright. Even Cole was so shocked that he could not move. Gu Mengmeng pounced into Lee's arms and cried out, my eyes are going blind, how can there be such a disgusting thing in this world, sobs, 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 it hurts my eyes. Elvis and Leah were first taken aback before they laughed. This girl, didn't she say she was just going to watch the show? Leah patted Gu Mengmeng's back lightly and coaxed her with a helpless tone, all right, don't look at him if you know it hurts your eyes. What if you damage your eyes later? Gu Mengmeng nodded in agreement and said, yeah, hubby is still the best looking. Come and give me a smile, I need to wash my eyes. All right. Leah cupped Gu Mengmeng's face and gave her a bright and doting smile. His long and narrow eyes were filled with tenderness, as if he was looking at the most precious treasure in the world. Gu Mengmeng nodded in satisfaction and turned to look at Elvis. Hubby, smile. Every time Elvis saw Gu Mengmeng's face, he would curl his lips out of reflex. Now that she asked him to smile, he froze. After being stunned for a long while, he finally forced a smile. Gu Mengmeng clasped her hands in front of her chest and said, "So handsome." Elvis laughed out loud at Gu Mengmeng's teasing. He sighed helplessly and rubbed her head. Then, he stood in front of Gu Mengmeng with Leah and used his broad back to shield her. He faced Cole and said, "Are you going to scram or do I have to do it?" Cole smiled and asked, "You and I are both beast kings. If we were to fight, who do you think will die first?" Cole's gaze landed on Lee's face, his gaze clear. Elvis moved his neck left and right as a warm-up. "I'm not Xiao Meng. I won't be threatened." Cole nodded and said, "That's true. How would the little wolf cub that I trained have such a gentle heart like Ah Gu? But, doesn't Ah Gu have something to ask me? Is it really alright for you to chase me away like this? After all, I used the soul of the forest to activate my Beast King bloodline." Chapter 1366. Leah waved his tail nonchalantly. "Cole, if you use the same trick for a long time, you will become immune to it. Qi Xian is already a second-level orc now. He is an adult and no longer a cub that Gu Meng needs to protect. Even if a male beast of this age dies, it is just natural selection. How long do you think you can hold Gu Meng hostage with just Qi Xian?" Cole nodded in agreement. "One Qi Xian is definitely not enough. Then, what if we add another Kanwu? Oh, right, out of Ah Gu's litter of cubs, Jiaoyu is the one I like the most. His eyes are so similar to Ah Gu's, making me feel pity for him. I can't help but want to press him under my body and dote on him to comfort my longing for Ah Gu." Gu Mengmeng jumped up from the stool. Lee's large tail swayed gently behind him, before sweeping past Gu Mengmeng's arm and landing in her arms. Leah was telling Gu Mengmeng, "Calm down, he is using psychological tactics to disturb you." Gu Mengmeng took a few deep breaths and forced herself to calm down. Then, she hugged Lee's tail and sat back on the stone stool. With Elvis and Leah between them, she and Cole could not see each other. Cole's hearing was extremely good and he could clearly hear the sound of Gu Mengmeng standing up in anger. It was a pity that the two eyesores in front of him stopped him, or else he would be able to see that furious little face appear in front of him. Even if it was anger and hatred, it was so beautiful when her eyes were focused on him. Slightly regretful, Cole said, "Ah Gu, I came all the way here to help you fix your house, take care of your sons and even found supplements for Leah to level up. Aren't you going to come out and thank me?" Gu Mengmeng did not say a word. She just sat behind Leah and watched how Leah and Elvis would deal with Cole. Elvis took a step forward, his fangs and claws already flashing. Cole waved his hand and said, "If we were to fight, I'm afraid Sauter would be destroyed. I don't mind, but Ah Gu's favorite Sandy and her family are still here. The newly migrated wolves and your eldest son, Hada, are still here. Is it alright if they all die? Ah Gu will cry, right?" Elvis sneered. "You talk a lot of nonsense." As he spoke, Elvis had already attacked Cole with his claw. Cole was right. He could not kill him because Qishuan's life was tied to Cole's. Although he did not care about Qishuan's life, Gu Mengmeng did. Elvis would never do anything that would upset Gu Mengmeng. However, killing was not the only way to torture people. Elvis's moves were very sharp and left no room for maneuver. Since Cole was also a beast king now, it would not be easy to kill him. He could only remain invincible if he gave it his all. And Elvis and Lee's motive was to obtain his soul of the forest. As long as they could snatch Cole's soul of the forest, they would no longer have to look for the spirit of the rocky cliffs. Furthermore, they also wanted to see if Cole could grow a new one after losing the soul of the forest and having his limbs broken. Chapter 1367. While the two beast kings were locked in a fierce battle, Miranda, who had been curled up in a corner, crawled to Lee's feet along the wall. She grabbed onto Lee's ankle while Lee's attention was on Elvis and Cole's battle. Leah felt his ankle being touched. As he lowered his head, he had already retreated backwards. But Miranda did not loosen her grip. Because of Lee's strength, her entire body was dragged along the ground for a long distance, but her grip did not loosen at all. She raised her tear-stained face and begged bitterly, "Ah yeah. I know you are already mated, but I don't mind. Even if you lock me in a secret chamber for the rest of my life, I am willing. I will be a very good tool for you to level up. As long as you mate with me, you will be able to level up to the 5th level very quickly. That way, you will be able to protect your females better, right? So don't push me away anymore. Just treat me as a tool and have me properly, alright?" Gu Meng Meng was really speechless. Weren't the females in the beast world all spoiled and willful? Although Nina was the more exaggerated type, Gu Meng Meng swore that she had never seen a female who could compromise so much like Miranda. She was even more extreme than those shameless mistresses in the modern world. She really dared to say anything just to climb into Lee's bed. Gu Meng Meng stood up and walked to Leah. She stepped on Miranda's wrist and said, "Seducing my man right in front of me. You really don't want your pair of claws anymore." With that, Gu Meng Meng exerted force with her foot. The sound of bones being crushed rang out, followed by Miranda's tragic cries. Miranda's wrist was crushed by Gu Meng Meng's foot. The hand that was grabbing onto Lee's ankle naturally let go due to the pain. Leah took the opportunity to pull his foot out and carry Gu Meng Meng up. "How could you step on her? Feeling heartache?" Gu Meng Meng looked at Leah coldly. Leah nodded. "How can I not feel heartache? What if the bone fragments pierced into the sole of my foot? Moreover, those bones are so hard. Aren't you afraid of your foot being crushed? And blood, so dirty, TSK, how many times have I said this? Let me and Elvis do this kind of vulgar words. You always refuse to listen." As Leah spoke, he placed Miranda back on the stone bench and casually pulled out a piece of inferior beast skin to cover Miranda, who was rolling on the ground. Then, he picked her up and threw her to the corner of the wall. "If you come near me and my Gu Meng Meng again, I will throw you into a bonfire and make you into a barbecue." Miranda was in so much pain that she could not hear what Leah was saying. She could only roll around in the corner. Leah could not be bothered to say more to her. He just took out a stone basin and placed it on the fire to boil some hot water. After the water was warm enough, he started to wash her feet. This scene was a little strange. The two beast kings did not unleash their beast pressure and were holding kitchen knives to chop the electric wires, killing each other with sparks and lightning. Meanwhile, Leo was waving his large furry tail and calmly washing Gu Meng Meng's feet. Gu Meng Meng looked up at the battle between Elvis and Cole. Elvis's attacks were all killer moves, but Cole was like a loach. He did not even fight Elvis head-on. Instead, he dodged and dodged whenever he could. He was clearly exhausting Elvis's energy. Chapter 1368. Leah washed Gu Meng Meng's little feet and wiped them dry with a beast skin. He then took out a new pair of boots for her to wear before saying, "All right, sit down obediently." Gu Meng Meng nodded. Leah then waved his large tail and stood in front of Gu Meng Meng, saying softly, "The mighty Fox King did not come to Sauter just to compete with the Wolf Clan, right?" Cole chuckled and pulled back. Elvis stopped attacking at the same time and also took a step back. He returned to Gu Meng Meng's side and stood beside Leah, blocking Gu Meng Meng completely, not allowing Cole to see a single bit of her. Elvis and Cole's earlier trembling was mostly to test each other. Even though Leah had washed Gu Meng Meng's feet in the middle, he still had a clear grasp of the general situation. At the level of a beast king, the difference between races was already negligible. It was impossible for Elvis to suppress Cole alone, but Elvis was not the only beast king on their side, so they still had the right to speak. Cole stood with his hands behind his back and said, "Leah, move aside. Lee's body went limp and he knelt to the side. He struggled to stand up, but he could not muster any strength at all. Gu Mengmeng remembered this scene. When the mark on the back of her neck had just changed, Wabi was also like this. Gu Mengmeng jumped up from the stool to support Leah. She glanced sideways at Cole and said coldly, "Cole, kneel down." The moment Gu Mengmeng said that, Cole indeed knelt down. This made Elvis, who had intended to attack Cole, pause. He stood back at his original spot without saying a word. Cole was also a little surprised. He wanted to stand up, but he could not muster any strength. Gu Mengmeng helped Leah up and let him sit on the little stone stool that she was originally on. Then, she stood at the side and gently hugged Lee's shoulders, letting him lean into her arms. Elvis stood behind Gu Mengmeng, finally allowing Gu Mengmeng and Cole to look at each other. Gu Mengmeng laughed coldly and said, "Do you understand now? Even if you are a beast king, you are nothing in front of me." Of course. Cole seemed to especially admire Gu Mengmeng's darkened look. His face was filled with unconcealable joy and admiration. Gu is the highest existence in this world. I, Cole, am just a speck of dust under your feet. Gu Mengmeng completely ignored Cole's disgusting fawning and only stared at him coldly. "What did you do to my son?" Cole shook his head and said, "The young lords are all in a very safe place under my protection." Gu Mengmeng sneered. "Why does my son need your protection? Who do you think you are?" Cole gazed deeply at Gu Mengmeng and said gently, Gu, have you never thought about how big of an impact Elvis would have on the beast world when he used the heart of the desert to activate the beast king bloodline?" Gu Mengmeng frowned and did not reply. The love of the sky and spirit of the rocky cliffs that have yet to appear are protected by the beast god's enchantment. No one other than you can obtain them. The tear of the beast god and the heart of the desert were in the hands of the two beast kings, so no one dared to covet them. The key of the beast king had yet to appear, so naturally, no one dared to hope for it. Then, the remaining two treasures. Gu Mengmeng paused and her heart turned cold. Cole understood that Gu Mengmeng had figured out the crux of the matter. He continued, "I know that you once said, an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. I feel that it is most suitable to be used on Qi Xian." Digression: why was Cole so intimidated by Gu Mengmeng? The reason was very simple. Gu Mengmeng had dug out Bai An's heart. Let's put it this way. If you killed a tiger with your bare hands and hung the tiger's heart on your neck, I can guarantee that no stray dog in your neighborhood would dare to come near you. Dan Fan, who met your eyes, would all run away. It was the same reason. Chapter 1369. He was just a second-level orc, but he had two treasures that could make the entire beast world go crazy. That was like throwing a fat piece of meat into the wolf's den. Gu Mengmeng frowned. She was really too careless. As a mother, why didn't she consider what kind of trouble Qi Xian would land himself in because of her decision? Cole continued. So, I took the soul of the forest from Qishuan's glabella just to divert the attention from Qi Xian. After all, killing a wandering fox king like me is much more justifiable than killing the messenger of the beast deity and the wolf king's son. Not only would I obtain the treasure that could activate the beast king bloodline, I wouldn't have to worry about the messenger and the wolf king settling the score. I am doing this for little Xian's sake. How can you be angry at me? Leah leaned into Gu Mengmeng's arms. Although he was in a state where he could not exert any strength, he did not look pathetic at all. Instead, he exuded a seductive charm. In contrast, Cole, who was forced to kneel on the ground by Gu Mengmeng, looked even more pathetic. Leah spoke softly. The Fox King's silver tongue can really distort right and wrong. You took the soul of the forest from Qishuan's glabella to protect him? Forget it. Just like what Gu Mengmeng said, we are all vixens. You can't play strange stories from a Chinese studio in front of me. Leah wanted to stand up but failed. He still could not exert any strength, so he could only sit there and hold Gu Mengmeng's hand gently, indicating to her not to be affected by Cole. Gu Mengmeng smiled and held Li's hand back. Only then did Leah feel at ease. You obtained the soul of the forest and activated the Beast King bloodline. Isn't this announcing to the beast world that as long as you snatch that pearl from Qi Xian, you can activate the Beast King bloodline just like you? Heh, are you protecting him or pushing him into the teeth of the storm? Cole rubbed his nose and laughed helplessly. I really can't explain myself. Raising his head, Cole looked straight into Gu Mengmeng's eyes and said, I don't mind if Gu hates me or hates me, but I will not be the scapegoat. I did not snatch the soul of the forest, it was little Xian who schemed against me and forced it on me. Gu Mengmeng was so angry that she laughed. She looked at Cole coldly and said, Are you telling me that it was Qi Xian who cried and begged you to accept the soul of the forest to activate the Beast King bloodline and then went against me? Cole nodded in acknowledgement. Gu Mengmeng let out a long sigh and said, Can you be more reliable when you're spouting nonsense? Cole sighed. Qi Xian took the opportunity when I was not around to instigate Kanwu to lead his men to take over the territory of the stray beasts camp. Do you know about this? Gu Mengmeng did not respond and just stared coldly at Cole. Cole could tell from Gu Mengmeng's expression that she knew. Thus, she continued, I went to see Qi Xian after I returned, hoping that he would hand over the territory of the stray beast camp. After all, he is your precious son. Even if I don't give him face, I have to give him face. I have to be polite before resorting to force. But little Xian told me that there was a fruit that you liked to eat in the stray beasts camp. So he was determined to get that territory and would not return it. But in order to keep the peace, he was willing to give me the soul of the forest to help me activate the Beast King bloodline. That way, I would not have to flee at the mere sight of you and not dare to go near you. This was too tempting for me, so I agreed. Chapter 1370. Cole looked at Gu Mengmeng's expression and gave a bitter smile helplessly. He ruffled his hair and said, Little Xian really guessed it right. You don't believe a single word I said. The trick I used on you in the past was used by Xian, once again. He used it better than me and was more ruthless than me. From the looks of it now, it can be said that the student has surpassed his predecessor. Forget it, I'll take the blame for this. Just treat it as me forcefully snatching Xian, soul of the forest and pushing him into a dangerous situation. But now that I have protected him, can this be considered as making up for my mistake? Return my sons to me. Gu Mengmeng said coldly. Cole smiled and said, Gu, if I return them to you, can you take care of them? I heard that you have to go to the Moda Mountains to retrieve the love of the sky during the dry season and then reproduce for ninth brother. You are so busy, do you still have time to take care of little Xian? Gu Mengmeng said expressionlessly, What does it have to do with you? Cole maintained his kneeling position and looked up at Gu Mengmeng. Gu, of course I have to protect your weakness, so that you will not be threatened by others. Gu Mengmeng said, You are the only one in the entire beast world who dares to use my sons to force me. Cole smiled and nodded, as if he had been awarded a Good Citizen award. He said with a face full of honor, Others use your weakness to threaten you to make use of you or hurt you. But I have everyone in my hands to guide you to the correct path. Gu Mengmeng said, You and I have different paths. The correct path in your eyes is definitely not the one I want to take. With that, Gu Mengmeng handed Leah to Elvis and walked to Cole's side. She squatted down and looked at him at eye level. You dare to wait for me here because you think you are already a beast king and don't need to be afraid of me, right? Cole did not say anything and just looked at Gu Mengmeng with a face full of bliss. This was one of the few times she took the initiative to approach him. Gu Mengmeng continued. But don't forget, even if you become a beast king, you are still a lowly stray beast deep down. And unfortunately, I have become the master of the stray beasts for some unknown reason. So, you should be afraid of me. You should hide in the gutter as usual, and flee the moment you smell me in the air. That way, you might be able to keep your lowly life. Because I'm someone you can't afford to offend. With that, Gu Mengmeng's fingers pressed into Cole's right chest. That was where she had dug a hole. Gu Mengmeng knew that the soul of the forest was there. She reached her palm into Li's chest and stirred his flesh and blood. She felt the soul of the forest but did not take it out directly. Gu Mengmeng laughed coldly. Return my sons to me and you can continue being the Beast King. Otherwise, I wonder what will happen to a person who stands at the peak and falls down? Alright, I'll return it. Cole endured the excruciating pain in his chest and maintained his sinister smile. Gu Mengmeng retracted her hand from Cole's chest and turned to walk to Li's side. She looked back at Cole and said, also, I don't like it when someone acts like a beast king in front of my man. Don't forget, you, the king, are under my feet. Chapter 1371. Leah held Gu Mengmeng's little hand and frowned, sighing softly. How many times have I told you? Don't dirty your own hands. Gu Mengmeng looked at her bloodied hands and pouted, her face full of disdain. Elvis had already brought a basin of hot water down, then carried Gu Mengmeng out of Li's arms and placed her on his chest. Leah then dipped the animal's skin in the basin in the water, carefully washing Gu Mengmeng's hands. Meanwhile, the wound on Cole's chest was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. His eyes were fixated on Gu Mengmeng without blinking. Gu Mengmeng glanced sideways at Cole and said, now that you know your own capabilities, don't provoke me again. Qishuan's life is tied to you, so I won't kill you. But I don't mind experimenting with the Qing dynasty's 10 greatest tortures on you, making you wish you were dead. If you're smart, hurry and return my son to me, then disappear from my sight. Gu Mengmeng glared coldly at Cole, who had just regained some strength, but he instantly knelt down again. Gu Mengmeng chuckled. I've said before, I don't like you calling me that disgusting way. Cole smiled without saying a word. He just looked at Gu Mengmeng quietly, as if he was admiring Gu Mengmeng's sinister expression and thought it was extremely beautiful. Gu Mengmeng took a deep breath and kept telling herself not to be calculative with a pervert. Never try to understand what a pervert was thinking. Leah pinched Gu Mengmeng's little chin. Don't dirty your hands again after you've just washed them clean, understand? Gu Mengmeng nodded and did not say another word. She just nestled in Elvis's arms and did not look at Cole anymore. Leah walked to Cole while wagging his tail. He reached out to help Cole up. Great Fox King, please don't blame us. Our little female is used to being willful. Cole narrowed his eyes and curled his lips coldly. He did not say a word. Gu was his. A mere loser dared to act like a male owner in front of him? Overestimating himself. Brushing Li's hand away, Cole maintained his usual demeanor and arrogance as the city lord of Sauter. Of course I won't be angry with Gu. Whatever Gu does, in my eyes, it's all good. Leah continued to smile appropriately, elegant yet distant. He said mildly, then, may I ask, Fox King, when do you intend to return my cub? Cole looked past Leah and at Gu Mengmeng, replying, on the day winter ends, I will return Gu's 3 sons. Right now, it's snowing heavily. Level 1 orcs and level 2 orcs can't walk in the snow. Leah nodded. Great Fox King is very thoughtful. We shall do as you say. Cole was on his guard against Li's humble attitude. There were many old and new grudges between them and Leah should not be speaking to him with such an attitude. Leah didn't seem to notice Cole's scrutinizing gaze. He just grinned and said, then, may I know if the Fox King has any other instructions for this visit? Cole smiled and said, so what if I do? So what if I don't? Leah said, if there is, please tell me. If not, then my little female needs to rest, please leave. Cole asked, what if I don't leave? Chapter 1372. Cole's expression froze, as if something had suddenly cleared up in his mind. That's right, why did Qishuan beat around the bush? He gave him the soul of the forest and purposely provoked him to come to Sauter to look for Gu Mengmeng. Was it just to make Gu Mengmeng hate him? No, that fellow would never do such a senseless thing. Could it be? Cole stood up and dashed into the snowstorm without looking back. He swaggered off. Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah in confusion. Could it be that Qi Xian really schemed against him? Would it spoil Qishuan's plans if we let him go like this? Should I let him stay for a little longer to buy some time for Qi Xian? Leah shook his head and chuckled. He looked at the snowstorm and said, "Ah Gu, although I don't want to admit it, Cole has really taught Qi Xian well. Among the 4 children, he is probably the one you don't need to worry about the least." What do you mean? Gu Mengmeng didn't understand. Leah waved his tail and returned to Gu Mengmeng's side. Don't worry, Qi Xian will be fine. And after this incident, Cole will probably be busy with his own matters and won't have the time to find trouble with you. You mean, he will turn around to deal with Qi Xian? Leah nodded. It was Qi Xian who caught Cole's tail and forced him to turn around to deal with him. Just based on this trick, I dare to conclude that Qi Xian is definitely not someone who can be manipulated by others. He has the ruthlessness of the wolf tribe and the cunning of the fox tribe. He has also learned many things from you that he never had in the beast world. Even if he can't win Cole, Cole can't do anything to him. Your concern for him is his life-saving charm. Cole will never kill him in order to restrain you. This is his undefeatable bargaining chip. I guess that Cole has not only captured Qi Xian, but also Kanwu and Jiaoyu. He must be trying to use those 2 brothers to counter Qi Xian. Leah seemed to have thought of an interesting situation. He chuckled and continued. But Cole seems to have forgotten something important. Qi Xian was groomed by him and will not lose to anyone when it comes to heartlessness. It's impossible to deal with Qi Xian in the same way he dealt with you. Moreover, that fellow Jiaoyu did not give it away for nothing. Cole did not manage to catch Huda because Jiaoyu hit Huda in advance. That means. Gu Mengmeng looked at Li's meaningful gaze and tried to follow his train of thought. Then, she said, Qi Xian and the other 3 brothers had long communicated with each other and knew that this day would come. Jiaoyu purposely allowed himself to be captured. The 4 of them purposely cooperated to lure him into the trap. Leah nodded. Smart. So you purposely insisted on staying in the Moda Mountains for a month, just to keep Cole here for a month? Gu Mengmeng tilted her head and asked. Chapter 1373. So what is he trying to do? Gu Mengmeng felt as if her 3 rascals were about to head to Syria with nail clippers. She said worriedly, 2 second-level beasts and 1 first-level beast. The 3 of them are not enough to defeat Cole. Why don't we go and help him? Leah shook his head and patted Gu Mengmeng's shoulder lightly. He smiled. If Qi Xian wanted us to help, he would have told us the last time he came. But, before he left, he told me that he was worried that there would be too many people in Saint Nazaire and there would not be enough prey for everyone, so he prepared a portion of food for the mother beast in Zacharias. But seeing how well prepared you all are, there should not be any need for it. Just in case, I will tell you that if there is not enough food, you can go to Zacharias to get more. Gu Mengmeng blinked. What's wrong with that sentence? Doesn't it just sound like a normal instruction? Leah chuckled. That's what I thought at first too. But now that I think about it, Elvis can't wait to move all the prey in the forest back to the stone castle. Even a family of more than 10 people like Sandy would have enough food to last an entire winter. We only have 3 people in our family. Would there be a situation where there is not enough food and we have to go to Zacharias to get more? Gu Mengmeng glanced at Elvis's food storage room. Winter was already half over, but not even a fifth of the food had been consumed. She shook her head. I don't think so. Leah nodded. So, what Qi Xian meant was to tell me that if anything happens in Sauter, you can head to Zacharias. There is food prepared for you there and it can help you survive this winter safely. But, what could happen that would be so serious that you have to migrate in the middle of winter? Gu Mengmeng was silent for a moment. Her gaze landed on Miranda. The collective estrus of the snow foxes, Leah nodded again. But Qi Xian is a wolf, how would he know about the secret of the snow foxes going into estrus? How would he even know the exact time? Gu Mengmeng bit her lower lip. Cole? Leah pinched Gu Mengmeng's little nose. Smart. Then. So what does that rascal want? Gu Mengmeng was confused. Leah said, gather all the information we have. Cole wouldn't mention the snow foxes going into estrus to Qi Xian for no reason, so sending Miranda over was probably one of his plans. As for his motive, just like what he said, he wanted to make use of the snow foxes going into estrus to make me lose control and have sex with Miranda. This way, I will find that mating with her can increase my battle value. I want to quickly become stronger so that I can better protect you. Humans are always lazy. Once there is an easy way to become stronger, they can't help but sink into it. And at that time, you will definitely think that I am dirty and abandon me. In this way, Cole can enjoy my misery while tormenting you, and at the same time, achieve some of his hidden motives. Gu Mengmeng gritted her teeth and looked at Miranda with an increasingly cold gaze. Tugging at Lee's arm, he said, when Gregory returns, let him throw this Miranda onto the Moda Mountains first. I don't want to see her. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.